Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellors, Provosts, Deans, Directors, special invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we've gathered here to listen to another lecture. And it is not just another lecture, it is a lecture from one of our two Pro-Vice Chancellors. And it is significant that in the last few weeks we've been hearing from our professors, but also from two of our Pro-Vice Chancellors. I would, at this point, kindly invite the Vice Chancellor who is chairing the event to take on from here. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor.
Thank you very much, Registrar. Vice Chancellors, Provosts, Registrar, Deans, Directors, Heads of Departments, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you once again to another inaugural lecture. This is the third that we have in a couple of weeks. And we are very pleased that you found time to come and join us to listen to Professor John O. Japon speak to us on the theme, Disease Elimination in Sub-Saharan Africa in the 21st Century, Fact or Fantasy. We use these inaugural lectures to project to the world exactly what research is being done at the university by the professors of the university. An inaugural lecture is the climax of the work that any decent professor does at the university. It's a time when the professor tells the whole world, this is how I have understood my discipline, this is how I have contributed to the advancement of that discipline. We all know Professor Japon to be coming from a background in public health. And public health thrives on a very strong use of concepts and theories. So he's, in a way, telling us this is how he found those concepts, this is how he found the state of the discipline of public health, and this is what he has added to it. So many generations will come in future and say this is what our brother, this is what our father, this is what our uncle, this is what our Professor John O. Japon added to the discipline of public health. Let me talk briefly about how he came to this by reading out his profile. Professor John O. Japon was born on 3rd of March 1962, which means this is only the beginning of his birthday celebrations. The climax will be on Saturday, and so he was born at Achim Ochinso, which is some 20 kilometers away from Kede in the Kwabibrim district of the eastern region. His parents were Warrant Officer Class 2 Alex Osu Japon and Janet and Champoma Edu, both deceased. Is it both or one? One. He started his primary school at the Achim Abnasud Presby and Local Authority School and continued to garrison primary schools at Sunyani and Burma Camp. In 1973, he gained admission to the St. Thomas Aquinas Secondary School in Accra, where he obtained his GCE O-level in 1978. I'm trying to figure out what I said wrong here. Sorry? Oh, okay. Well, yes. He then went to the Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, Presec, at Legon, and obtained his GCE levels in 1980. Is there a picture showing it? Professor Japon continued to the School of Medical Sciences at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where he gained a BSc in Human Biology in 1984 and MB-CHB in 1987. At KNUST, he was the JCR President of the Republic Hall from 1982 to 1984 and President of the Ghana Health Students Association in 1985. He worked at Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital in Kumasi as a house officer and medical officer, and briefly in Boku and Domahingro Presby hospitals as locum doctor. In late 1989, he was posted to Navrongo in the Kastan-Nankana district as a project clinician on the Ghana vitamin A supplementation trials at the Navrongo Health Research Center, where he was responsible for the pediatric ward of the Navrongo War Memorial Hospital. During the 7-year period in Navrongo, he participated and led several large-scale field intervention studies on malaria, lymphatic filariasis, and other infectious diseases. He obtained an MSc in Public Health and in developing countries in 1993 and a PhD in epidemiology in 1997 at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine of the University of London. In 1997, he was posted to the then Health Research Unit of the Ministry of Health, now Research and Development Division of the Ghana Health Service, where he worked as an epidemiologist, primarily responsible for training and conduct of health systems research and epidemiological studies. In 1998, he was appointed public health specialist and deputy director of the unit and promoted to substantive director in 2000. He was also appointed program manager for the lymphatic filariasis and onchocerciasis, where he planned and raised funds to implement the national lymphatic filariasis and onchocerciasis control programs. He is a fellow of the Royal Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, the American Society of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, and the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. During the 10-year period when he was director of the research unit, he was the principal recipient of several national and international grants that supported research, which informed several health policy discussions on neglected tropical diseases, health insurance, reproductive health, malaria, HIV/AIDS, and sexually transmitted infections. His research on lymphatic filariasis transformed the approach to the control of neglected tropical diseases in Africa. He set up and coordinated the Lymphatic Filariasis Support Center for Africa at the Noguchi Member Institute for Medical Research of the University of Ghana. Professor Japon was also the executive director of the Ghanaian-Dutch Collaboration for Research and Development for 7 years, a program which awarded several Ghanaian and Dutch research scientists with grants to conduct research to support local health policies. As a scientist and academic, Professor Japon has over 90 peer-reviewed publications and contributed to 3 book chapters and several manuals for the control of lymphatic filariasis. He has made over 200 presentations at international conferences. He has served as a technical advisor, member, and chaired several committees and task forces of the World Health Organization in the Africa region and in Geneva. He is also a member of the UK Medical Research Council panel of experts on health research and serves as a member of many other research committees in Europe and America. He is a reviewer for several international journals in public health, an associate editor for the PLOS Neglected Tropical Diseases Journal. He has supervised several masters and PhD students and has served as an external examiner for several universities in Ghana, South Africa, Europe, and India. He has been an adjunct professor in international health at Georgetown University, Washington, D.C. since 2006. In 2010, his work on pre-referral treatment with rectal artesunate for severe malaria, published in The Lancet, together with colleagues from Tanzania and Bangladesh, was adjudged the best research article at the British Medical Journals Awards. He also received the prestigious Medical Research Council African Research Leadership Grant in 2010 in collaboration with the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine. He has recently been appointed one of a 16-member eminent commission on global health governance managed by the Lancet, University of Oslo, and Harvard Global Health Institute. Professor Japon joined the University of Ghana as a part-time lecturer in 1998 at the level of senior lecturer. In 2002, he was appointed part-time lecturer at the level of associate professor in the Department of Epidemiology and Disease Control. In June 2009, when he decided to join the University of Ghana on a full-time basis, he was appointed a full professor. He was elected Vice Dean of the School of Public Health in 2010, and since 1st August 2011, he has been the Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research, Innovation and Development. He has served on a number of committees of the university. Professor Japon is a born-again Christian, worships with the Tema Joint Church, and is a lay preacher of the gospel. He is married to Margaret, and they have 3 daughters. Akosia, a psychology major student at York University in Toronto, Canada. Nemefia and Obaya, both students at the Tema International School. He enjoys football and is an ardent fan of Kumasi Santi Kotoko and Liverpool FC. Our lecturer for this evening, Professor John Owusu Japon, will address the following topic: disease elimination in sub-Saharan Africa in the 21st century, fact or fantasy. Thank you very much. And with that, I think we'll listen to the separate one. Oh? Okay. Thank you very much.
Asase so ayewen woni patam fam ayade aba kompa nana me bo wadi ya woni patam fo ne yare yo woni patam fo ne yare yo Sebeya wasrewa ejina yare so mami ne wanse minia oni pata fune yale yo oni pata fune yale yo oni pata fune yale yo Bama bintina ya wa Bama nyonyamfo bintini ya jinana Adia nane wa yuko adishe Wabemfo John Owusu Japon Owusu Japon Opaine kwa bana Japan ane mami anu yanyamfo Janet achampama adu ane eba no no oyuko ne ade na de hye no no oba ne yanyamfo Margaret Japan na ne kunu no Achimo chin so this year no. Papa me frafra wo. Adia ma kon ya mani gia ne se. Yenim sa dia doctor for adwuma tia. Otena fa akon. Ma wo be kan ya dia kire no. Otena wo ya adwuma hu se da bi. Na nipa yi ba na so amedura. It was done was sama no. Totia na monsa mekona makwahwehwe yare yi kofa de bai. A research was organized. Apenye nhwehwemu Fredia ba kompa na de amenka wono abeka na de wodi mu akotene pa ene yare a yefra no japim atime ma wona hono ana mema yare enzo ayemodin one was specializing. Papa said, I am a flower, Mamma swear. Adiana by sorry, oh, addition as earth channel.
Mr. Chairman, the Vice Chancellor, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Provosts, Deans, Heads of Departments, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor for me to have this opportunity to present my inaugural lecture on issues that I've been working on in the last 22 years. I've asked the question whether disease elimination in sub-Saharan Africa can be a fact, or are we just fantasizing? It is my hope that this evening we would appreciate some of the challenges that it takes to address these diseases and what it will take to make it a fact and not a fantasy. In this lecture, I will be discussing some of the issues on elimination of disease. I would use lymphatic filariasis as the case study, using my work over the last 22 years. And through that, it is my hope that I'll be able to engage you in this discourse, because it is very important that we understand the basic concepts. I acknowledge that not all of us are doctors or nurses or health workers for that matter, so I will try as much as possible to make the concepts very simple so that we can all appreciate the issues at stake. Once we begin to discuss disease elimination, there are two books which come up. The first one, which is The Eradication of Infectious Diseases, edited by Dr. Doddle and Hopkins, was the first attempt to put these concepts together in the so-called Darlem Conference. Many of the concepts that he put across have had a few problems, and therefore since then there has been another forum to try and address this issue so that the issues could be appreciated better in the light of current understanding of disease causation. This book, Disease Eradication in the 21st Century, gives a very simplistic view of these concepts, and I would encourage as many of you as possible to read it. What are we saying when we talk about disease elimination or eradication? We are looking at the possible worldwide absence of a specific agent in the whole environment, to the extent that scientists judge it as no longer of public health significance, and that we can stop all control activities related to this particular illness. The case of smallpox, which was brought to the fore and eradicated some 3 or so decades ago, is a very good example. Then we talk about a regional or national elimination. So the first one is worldwide. As we speak now, there is no smallpox in the whole world. But we can have what we call the regional or national elimination or eradication, where this agent is gotten rid of from a specific environment, a geographically defined environment. So it can be on a continent or a subcontinent or an island. But the important thing is that the geographical area should be so well defined. Otherwise, everybody will begin to define eradication of a disease from their house as a geographical area, or from their village as a geographical area. It must be epidemiologically sound to talk about such a case. And examples of this are the polio eradication, measles, rubella, guinea worm, and the like. Then we talk about elimination, which is the absence of disease, such that it is no longer considered a public health problem. So the agent might be around, the causative agent might be around, but will require continuous intervention. Example of this is neonatal tetanus. That is why we continue to immunize our women against tetanus. But for many of us gathered here, eradication could be said to mean to root something out completely. So to take it out of the environment such that it doesn't bother you any longer. The current global eradication initiatives include poliomyelitis, guinea worm, and measles and rubella. And in the long term, we are hoping that cysticercosis, lymphatic filariasis would also be eradicated. Indeed, now there is a lot of discussion about malaria eradication, onchocerciasis, and yaws as potential candidates because of a better understanding of the epidemiology of these diseases. But for elimination to occur, there must be a constellation of 4 key issues. First of all, it must be biologically and technically feasible. Secondly, there must be a reliable public health infrastructure to deliver these interventions. The funding and economic considerations should be taken care of. And of course, there must be a sustained political and societal will. I'll take these one after the other. Where these constellations had occurred, smallpox had been eradicated, as I talked about earlier. Polio was eliminated or eradicated from about 50% of countries in the world by 1990. Guinea worm, I thank God that Ghana is making strides as far as guinea worm is concerned, because people were considering changing the name guinea worm to Ghana worm